Hey Twitter world, this is yours truly. Now coming soon to Twitter, you'll get to read all my thoughts and opinions on just about everything. Now there's a lot of fake OJ accounts out there, so this one, at the real OJ32, is the only official one. So this should be a lot of fun. I got a little getting even to do. So God bless, take care. Hey Twitter world, you know for years people have been able to say whatever they want to say about me with no accountability. But now I get to challenge a lot of that BS and set the record straight. More importantly, I'll be able to talk about everything, especially sports, fantasy football, and even politics. But for now, let me just say to my fellow fathers out there, happy Father's Day, and God bless. Hello, Twitter world. This is yours truly. You know, this is my first venture into the social media world, and it's amazing. Especially how quickly they can put up counterfeit sites. Anyway, we'll deal with that. My life has always been involved in the sports world, and I suspect as the week goes on, that's pretty much what we'll be talking about. But once in a while, I'm going to go off topic and talk about something else, and this is one of those times. You know, Bob Kardashian is like a brother to me. He's a great guy. He met and married Chris, and they really had a terrific time together when they were together. Unfortunately, that ended. But never, and I want to stress, never in any way, shape, or form had I ever had any interest in Chris romantically or sexually, and I never got any indication that she had any interest in me. So all of these stories are just bogus, bad, tasteless. Chloe, like all the girls I'm very proud of, just like I know Bob would be if he was here, but the simple facts of the matter is she's not mine. Now, one of the people who's spreading this rumor is a guy that the media loves to say is my manager. I had one manager in my whole life, Chuck Barnes, when I came out of USC for 3 years. Unfortunately, he died about 45 years ago, but even before he died, I opened my own office with the help of Skip Taft, my lawyer, my two assistants, Marilyn O'Brien, the late Marilyn O'Brien, and Kathy Randa. And I've always managed my own affairs, and I like to think very successfully. So when you see these guys like Norm and these guys claim that they're my manager, it's just not true. I may have done a deal here or there with them, but none of these guys have ever was anything remotely like a manager for me. In any event, that's it for today. Happy Father's Day. Take care. Hey, Twitter world, it's me, yours truly. You know, after last week, I got a lot of comments from football fans telling me, Juice, come on, fantasy, you got to draft a running back first. And normally I would go along with that, except in the case of Patrick Mahomes. Now, there was only one quarterback within 100 points of him last year, and that was 93 points behind him. Even Tom Brady, maybe the greatest quarterback ever, was roughly 175 points behind him. And Drew Brees, the guy who led my fantasy teams to 3 out of 4 championships, was roughly 150 points behind him. You can't make up that separation anywhere else in any other position. Look at the running backs. The top 4 guys were within 30 points of one another. And you got all of these great young guys coming, Chubb and Jones and Mack. I mean, some great young guys who could be Bill Cowbacks. And don't forget, Ingram is going to be a feature back in Baltimore. That helps Kamara, who was last year anyway, my star guy. He'll get the ball more. And Le'Veon Bell is coming. So you can get a top running back in that second round. Now, on another note, when I came into the league, I went through a little bit of culture shock. Not because I was born in San Francisco and raised there and went to USC, LA, and then ended up in upstate New York. It was because of the locker room. The locker room was different. I wasn't prepared for it. You had black guys in the locker room who had never played football with white guys before. And you had white guys from big colleges who had never played with black guys before. And they came with all kind of attitudes and opinions and thoughts on things, but we had to put it all aside. You had to put it aside if you were going to be a team and have any chance of winning. And I'm pretty sure that was the case everywhere, all over sports back then. I'm just saying. All right, fantasy football soon. Take care. Hey, Twitter world. I woke up this morning, they were talking about Michael Jackson's 10th anniversary of his death. Got me thinking about Michael. I met Michael, it seemed like 100 years ago. His family moved down the hill from me, and then I'd see him around. I actually got to be good friends with Jermaine. Years later, I was playing tennis in my backyard with a neighbor when he got word that his nephew was sent home from summer camp because they found out he had cancer, and I guess it had something to do with insurance, and they couldn't have him at the camp. He got a little upset and said, "Juice, we got to do something about this." So he came up with the idea. He called some of his friends. He was a celebrity. He called some of his friends. I called Michael. He was real hot there to see if he would help. And we got together to help in the beginning of Camp Good Times, a camp for kids with cancer. Now, I know there are probably many similar camps like that around the country now, and they probably would appreciate your donation. Anyway, years later, my house was under siege by the media, and I had somehow got out. I was staying at Don Omeyer's house, and I was getting my kids on the weekends, and they would come up. Don had a great house, the late Don Omeyer, I should say. They had a great house, but it was restricted. Michael found out, he called me and said, "OJ, you got to take the kids up to Neverland Ranch. They love it." And I did. And it was wondrous. The kids would come up, they would bring some of their friends, and it was so great that I started bringing my adult friends up there. Michael was never there, but he always had gifts for the kids. My point is, I could never debate anybody about Michael Jackson. I didn't know enough about his private life to do that. What I do know is my experience with him is that he was a kind and generous soul. Rest in peace, Michael. Take care. Hey, Twitter world, it's me, yours truly, sitting at my house waiting to watch this debate, to hear a bunch of people who think they're capable of running our country. It should be interesting because, to be honest, I don't know most of these guys, but I'm interested to hear what they have to say, and I think every American should be watching this. So, I guess we got about 38 minutes to go, so won't be long now. Take care. Hey, Twitter world, yours truly, trying to finish dinner so I can get home and watch the second installment. The only thoughts about last night was one completely unknown to me. It really surprised me. It was pretty good. If I have any suggestion, I would say when it's over tonight, turn it off. Don't listen to these pundits and experts tell you who won. With your vote, you're the expert.
We're at the Hula Bowl
Enjoy.
Stadium. We're in the truck. Here you are doing the sidelines for ABC, and we're visiting, and you say to me in the middle of a conversation, you say, "Coach Switzer says, you're from Crossett, Arkansas." And I said, "How in the world would you know I'm from Crossett, Arkansas?" And you said, "My daddy was born in Crossett, Arkansas." And I looked at you and I said, "OJ, aren't you glad that you moved from Crossett? Your dad did, because you have been the second greatest player to ever come out of Crossett, Arkansas." That's in my book, but what I want to say to you is that your family moved to San Francisco, then in 1947, July the 9th, Orenthal James Simpson was born, and you grew up in a ghetto poverty. I want to ask you about what was it like growing up in San Francisco as a young boy?
You know, Coach, it was great. I grew up we moved quite a bit, but most of my formative years were, I was on Betrayal Hill. There was a Betrayal Hill section of San Francisco, and at the top of the hill, we had this great playground. We had a great gymnasium. San Francisco was very competitive, where one area, one district would play another district. And there were a lot of leagues in basketball, baseball, football, you name it. So when I grew up, you know, it was who could be in the park the soonest after school. You know, school was over, you catch the bus, you get home, you ran to the park, and we had organized baseball leagues, touch football leagues, and then of course we had our pickup games. So, and when you grow up in that, my mother worked. My father and mother were separated at an early age, and neither one ever remarried. So I had a good sense of family. And my mother supported me in whatever I wanted to do. And in my neighborhood, your status was determined by how good you were in a particular sport. And so right away at an early age, sports became the focal point of my life. And I was pretty good.
So you discovered athletics. Athletics didn't discover you.
Yes,
so,
yeah, and it gave us something to do. And for me, it gave me the opportunity to stand out. You know, as I said, we were pretty much rated or gauged in the neighborhood. Your leadership positions were determined by how you performed. The best athlete normally had his group of guys, and he was a leader. And at an early age, I know I had a race against my cousin. Everybody was racing, and my cousin was considered a great athlete, and I beat him. And I was about 8 years old at the time, and everyone thought it was a fluke. You know, no one could beat Dwight, you know, in a race. And we raced again, and I beat him again. And it was at that point I realized, boy, I must have something special here. And you know, that led to other things. And
when you were in high school, did you have any heroes or figures you looked up to?
I had a hero, man. My hero was Willie Mays. In 1967, the Giants came to San Francisco. I was in maybe the 5th, 6th grade. My grammar school was only blocks from Seal Stadium, so the first game they played in San Francisco, when school was over, we got out at 2 o'clock and we walked over to the stadium and found a way to get into the stadium. And I saw it, I think it was the 6th inning. And the thing about Willie Mays, when they were coming to the San Francisco, everybody would be talking about Willie Mays and the Giants. And somehow when they spoke of Willie Mays, everyone got happy. I mean, it was like, boy, Say Hey is coming to town. And the teachers, and, you know, then it was a black-white thing you were aware of. The white teachers, everybody was excited about this guy, and he happens to be a black guy, right? And I went and I watched him play. And he had a certain style that he played, and I recall at an early age, I said, I want to be like that guy. I want people to look up to me, and when they talk about me, get happy and want to watch me play. You know, it's more than the game even. At one point, I think for me, Willie Mays was bigger than the game of baseball. If he hit a home run, I hit the home run. Just to watch him perform was special to me, and somehow the game was secondary to that.
He was special to me, too, because I remember him well. Let's go to today. Here you are, the first player drafted by Buffalo Bills. You're the #1 player in the country, the first player taken. And today, it's kind of like Arnold Palmer. I read the other day, you know, Arnold Palmer in 1961, 8 major tournaments, and you only netted $75,000. What would you be worth today in the market? What would an O.J. Simpson be worth today in the market? You would be in the double 7 figures, without a doubt.
Well, you know, it's funny how you look at that, because I look at what Jim Kelly signed for in Buffalo, and I look at Joe Montana, who deserves whatever they pay him, you know what I mean? But it's funny because my buddies, we all sit around talking, oh, man, what would we be asking for we paid today? I knew when I played that I was, in the beginning, one of the most popular, and by the end, the most popular guy, you know, in the game, in the game of football. So, and that means something. What means something is attendance. When I played in Buffalo, we led the league in attendance at home and on the road, maybe 4 or 5 years there when we were going, you know, great guns. So whatever Joe got, I would have asked for at least $100,000 more.
Number 32 deserved $100,000 more, I guarantee you.
Yeah. If I was playing for Eddie DeBartolo, I knew I'd have got it. No, but when I played, I was paid well.
Sure.
I think when I retired, I was being paid twice as much as the next guy. You know, in the league. So, and money, everything is relative, you know.
Sure, it's all relative.
So I was paid well, and I enjoyed it when I played, and I don't begrudge these guys. I think you get whatever you can get. Whatever they pay you, that's what you're worth. If they underpay you, that's what you're worth. Whatever you allow yourself to be paid is what you're worth, and I'm happy for them. I'm happy they're getting paid what they're getting paid today, and I just, if you can perform, and you're dedicated on the level of Joe Montana, more than just his on-field deportment, the way he handles his teammates, you know, the way he handles the press. Hey, God bless you. Get as much as you can get.
When they let the air out of your football, when you hung up your cleats, or life after football, as you say, was acting your goal?
Acting, I still look at acting as a sort of a hobby. You know, I would hate to have my family's future riding on my acting career.
You are great in comedy. I promise you. You know, I see Craig T. Nelson. I was on that Coach show, and I see him in serious roles. He is good in any role, but he's great in comedy. And your scenes in Naked Gun, I promise you, my kids rented it the other night, and I sit there and I watch the shooting scene at the waterfront, and I am hilarious. Tears run down my eyes. The hospital scene. It was great acting and great humor.
I must admit, I've enjoyed it. I've been lucky. I've been working steadily in the business ever since the Towering Inferno and the Klansman back in '72, I think it was. And I've always, this year I did a movie called Temporary with Chris Christopherson and Alan Landau and Drew Barrymore. It'll be out this fall. I'll do a sequel to The Naked Gun this fall. And of course, I have my series on HBO called First and 10, which is in its 5th year is one of the top-rated running series on cable TV. So it's been going well. And back early '80s, I produced about 5 shows for NBC. that did quite well. So, but still, I still look at it as a hobby. It pays well. It's a hobby. I like it when you have a meeting. You send one another a note when the meeting's over, and the next time you have a meeting, it goes from there. In this business, everybody gives great meetings, you know what I mean? And you have a meeting, and the next time you see the guys, you meet, and you go over the same thing you went over then. Fortunately, I've been lucky in the business world, and I'm involved in a number of business ventures in foods and real estate that have gone well for me. So I consider that my real sort of business.
What message would you give to some young person today out there struggling or facing tough decisions in life?
Well, you know, I tell you what has always worked for me is you got to have goals in life. You got to set a goal in life. And yeah, a goal is not wanting to be rich. Okay, that's great. That's a dream. But until you know what you want in life, you can't gain ground on it. You don't know if you're gaining ground or losing ground. Until you know what you want to do, you don't know what you have to do to get there. And it's really weird that so many times I'll ask a kid, well, what do you want to be? And they don't know what they want to be, you know? I think the first thing in life is to focus on what is it you want out of life? What is it you want to do? And once you know that, then you know what you have to do to get there. And I'm a firm believer in that you should go after what you want to do. You know, most people say, I'm going to be a teacher because of the benefits, not because they want to teach. I think you cheat yourself if you first don't give it a shot to go after your dream, whatever that dream is, know what it is, crystallize it, then you know if you're gaining ground or losing ground, then you know what you have to do to get there.
Thank you. One of the great superstars in sports, O.J. Simpson, and a class act off the football field, and a promising great actor, too.
Yeah, a promising great golf. You'll see me 8 years from now. I'll be in the senior tour.
I wanted to just say to you, thanks for being on the Spirit of Champions. It's been great being here with you.
Hey, thank you, Coach. You've always been a great guy to me.
Well, how does it feel to be a retiree?
Well, I really don't know.
Do you have mixed emotions? You know, I know so many of the guys who play the game, and I asked Joe Namath once when he stepped down after his career. And I said, you miss it? And he said, no. And then there was a hesitation, and he said, yeah. But there does come a moment, I suppose, where any professional athlete has to say, well, do I go another year? Do I step down now? For various reasons, right?
Yeah, and I think every athlete thinks he can play longer.
Right.
But I don't think emotionally I've realized yet that I'm retired and I'm not going to play again. I think every athlete, even the guys who play in the Super Bowl, you're glad the season is over. And I've had a couple of tough weeks. You know, I've had writers around me and a couple of people doing films around me, and they said, we want to see what it's like your last week in the league. And I said, well, it would be a little different if you weren't here, you know?
Yeah, like it was hardly a typical week when the press is following you into the dressing room, right?
Yeah.
What do you think you might miss the most? The actual camaraderie that exists between professional athletes, the friendships that you do make over the years, or the actual thrill of being out in front of that many people and being able to doing something superbly?
Yeah, well, that spontaneous reaction from a crowd,
right.
I know I'm going to miss that. I think the thing I miss the most is, as players, you can get in the locker room, you get to know each other so well that you can really act silly, Yeah. You can go in every day and act silly and have a good time and just let let everything sort of hang out. And I'm going to miss that, It's part of the camaraderie and, the filling in the locker room, the joking around, and I'm going to miss that quite a bit. But in this business, I find that if you're on location, you can get, that sort of feeling with the people you're working with. It's sort of a team feeling after a couple of weeks, in Albuquerque on the desert, all the makeup is gone, and the people you're working with,
You probably have records, you and Jim Brown now together, because I think Jim and you are the 1 and 2 in all-time yardage. Records that'll probably really may never be broken, because there are an incredible number of yards, you said.
Well, they're all going to be broken.
You think so? You think athletes get better every year? A lot of the guys who played 20 years ago seem to think that the guys nowadays are stronger, faster, or for whatever the reasons. Either they're growing up differently or different nutrition or something, but are better athletes generally, the ones from 5, 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, I think that's what everyone, during the war, the average height of men was your height. And now
I wasn't with the Japanese, O.J. I was on our side, You have a misconception. How tall do you think I am?
No, you surprised me. I played tennis with you a couple of years ago, and I was surprised you were
just about 6 feet. Just about 6 feet. Never quite made it. I always have to put down 5'11 and a half, which always bugged me. But you think, they're all getting bigger.
Yeah, I think everybody, athletes, they eat better, they train better, and, you look at a guy like Earl Campbell. When I saw him, I was, amazed that a guy his size can run the way he run the ball.
I saw a high school game the other night. They were televising some local. Now, the guy's in high school, 16, 17 years old, and they'd say, well, here's Rick so-and-so from El Segundo. Rick weighs 270 pounds. And the kid is 16-year-olds in high school. 260 pounds. Now, that's crazy.
Yeah, and they're better. This is the day of the specialists. When I first started playing football, you played both ways. And the guys who weren't real good played defense. And the better guys play offense, but you had to play both ways. Now you got guys who, they come into pro ball and all their lives they've been a guard. All their lives they've been a defensive back. So they're better prepared by the time they get to pro ball, and we're playing more games. And I was surprised, my record 2,003 yards in the season, I was surprised this year wasn't broken, because I thought halfway during the season that Walter Payton would break it. But they had a couple of tough games in there. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's not broken in the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, but that's a sensational record. Do you still keep active? I know you play tennis. Anything else that you do?
Well, I play a lot of racquetball, but, I just retired,
Yeah.
I have to tell people I'm not dead. I just retired. So,
let me take a break. We got a little piece of film from, I think, your upcoming movie, but we'll do this first. We'll be right back. He is not dead, folks. We're talking about O.J. Do you like the acting end of it? When's the first thing you did? I know, you're still playing football, of course.
Yeah, first thing I ever did, I was holding out for Buffalo, trying to get more money, and
right.
I was right out of USC, and I had a couple of producers come to me and ask me if I can act. I said, sure, I can try to act, and they gave me a little part in the show. And it was a medical center show, and it became their premiere show, the first one ever shown.
Right.
And since that time, people have been offering me roles, and I've been doing it. And I didn't take it serious until I was in Orville, California once doing a film called The Klansman with Richard Burton and Lee Marvin, and they were really kind of going at it. And Liz Taylor was there, and we were sitting around one night, and they were talking about food, and the conversation got on chili. And Liz was saying the best chili in the world was at Chasen's.
That's right, true.
So everyone started saying, oh, it was great chili. So somebody made a call. In an hour and a half, they had a private jet bring a pot of chili from Chasen's to Orville, California, and 2 hours later, we're eating chili, and I'm saying, I like this life.
I like this. I like this kind of work. How many guys sit around in the locker room and say, let's send out for chili and have it thrown in by a jet? The movie is called Goldie and the Boxer, on NBC, coming up, I forgot another date, coming up December 30th.
Yes.
Right? Did you like how it turned out?
Oh, yes, I'm a little proud of it because I had the script for 5 years, and it's the first thing that my company, my production company, has done, other than a TV special, and we think it came out real well.
Okay, now we got about a minute clip here. Does this need any setting up at all? I don't know what...
Well, this is, I think the scene here is with me and the little girl, and I just got out of the Army, when all the guys were your height, and 1946, and I just finished sparring with her father. She just found me unconscious by the railroad tracks, and he's just given me a job as his sparring partner, and she asked to be my manager, and I tell her it's okay, and we're just now walking to go have a bite to eat.
Okay, here's a little clip from Goldie and the Boxer. That's a nice little scene there. Many actors, are not particularly thrilled about working with young children because they say don't work with children, what, animals, because you get upstaged every time?
Well, I tell you, I worked a scene once with Paul Newman, and he told me that as long as you play your character, you'll be all right in this business, no matter who you're working with. So, if you play your character.
What's next for you?
Well, right now we may be doing a feature film through the company. We did another film called Detour that'll be shown in February, also on NBC. So we're staying busy. Yeah.
Hey, that's great. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. We just have a minute or so before we have to say goodnight. You probably are tired of telling the story about how you got the name O.J., but it wasn't something you had as a kid. Most people think you were called O.J. as a kid, but not true, right?
Oh, wrong.
Yeah.
I was called O.J. Ever since I can recall. I didn't know my name was Arenthal until I was in the 3rd grade, and the teacher, I just went to a new school, and the teacher had called everyone's name, and they had sat down, and she said, who are you? And I said, I'm O.J. Simpson. She said, Arenthal. So I didn't make a big deal of it because my classmates was there, and I sat down, and I went home and asked my mother, what is my name? And she told me it was Arenthal.
Arenthal.
But it was O.J. And they made it orange juice once I got to the pro ball.
But that had nothing to do with orange juice, right? That had something to do with energy or something like that.
Yeah, I was always kidding around and, hyping things up and sort of juiced up, so to speak, sort of like
well, yes.
our friend on the end.
Hey, I wish you much luck with the movie and your career, and thanks for all of the great moments you've given us all over the past few years in football.
Hey, Twitter world, it's me, yours truly. Well, football is over, so I find myself watching some basketball and, of course, a little bit of hockey. But this week, I was watching golf, the golf tournament, the Genesis Open, being played at the Riviera Country Club in L.A., my old country club where I learned to play golf. And gotta admit, it was kind of interesting watching them try to contend with all that wind. They even had to delay a day because of the wind. And, I was thinking about all the fires in California and the fact that I have a dear friend who's been driving through the South in some horrible weather this week got me thinking about climate change and how happy I am that Joe Biden, President Biden, has decided to rejoin the Paris Accord in trying to deal with the rest of the world with climate change. I'm happy with that, even though I'm a little confused by his stance on the southern border. I don't understand how we could let anybody in this country without having them tested for COVID. I know when we go to their countries, they make us test. The other thing is this cancel culture. In San Francisco, they're talking about changing the name on about 40 schools. And a couple of the names they're considering is George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. Now, give me a break. Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, these men have contributed so much to making us what we are, the leaders of a democracy in this world. And if you want to try to denigrate them over some, I don't know, sign of the times, slavery for George Washington, for that matter, you would have to then start looking at every person, every name, from Martin Luther King to George Washington, and we'd have to start naming our schools Acme #1, Acme #2. I'm just saying, stop it. Hey guys, stay safe, get your shot. Hey Twitter world, like most people, I've been watching the coverage of Tiger Woods and his accident. Of course, all our prayers are going, to him and his family. Sunday, watching the Genesis Open and watching Tiger be interviewed, my daughter was in the kitchen and she said, "Dad, Tiger doesn't look good." I said, "Well, he may be on some medication because he just had another back surgery." And, I at one point had a little sciatic problem, and trust me, I was living on pain medication. There's nothing fun about it. And with the many back surgeries he had, I just assumed he was on some medication. I don't know what that has to do with this. I do know this. After this last surgery, I'm a little surprised that the people around him, his manager and people close to him, would even have him driving. Especially if he's on some pain medication, they should have had a driver for him. I don't know if he was going to the airport. I see all that luggage or going to finish the commercial. They say he was going to shoot. All I know is he's Tiger Woods, and I really want to see him play again. And from what I understand, he's having leg surgery now. That, along with the back, makes it a long shot, but you will never count this man out. In any event, prayers are with you, Tiger. Take care. Hey, Twitter world, it's me, yours truly. Well, the last 7-8 days have been something else. Started last Monday when Tiger was in that car accident, and that sort of broke my heart, I think Tiger has been my favorite athlete over the last 20 plus years, and I was really looking forward to seeing him not only get another major win, but I wanted to see him to break that tie that he has with Sam Snead and get his 83rd win and be the winningest player of all time. Well, that looks like an uphill battle now. The breaking his leg is one thing. I think he could have got over that. That with the back was going to be tough, but it's the ankle. I had 2 knee replacements, and to be honest, I was still able to play golf and tennis. It was an ankle surgery I had that handicapped me the most, and I think that, along with his back, which is going to take away from his ability to practice, and I think it's going to be a real uphill battle. My buddy of mine, golf buddy of mine, said the next time Tiger wins is going to be on the senior tour. I hope that's not the case. Last Thursday I got my last shot, my second Pfizer shot. I wasn't sick, but I was tired. I spent 2 days just laying around in bed. But I didn't have a sore shoulder. It didn't bother me outside of just fatigue. And I guess I missed out on this whole Russell Wilson thing. Look, Seattle. Russell's associated with Seattle, and I know in his heart he don't want to leave Seattle. If he does leave, it would be to an American League team. I don't see them trading him to a National League team, so that means the Raiders would be in play. That's good. I live in Vegas. But come on, guys. You haven't learned anything from Indianapolis? Look, Indy wouldn't get Andrew Luck an offensive line. For years, they didn't draft him or go get offensive linemen, and you saw what happened to Andrew Luck, and he's 1 year younger than Russell Wilson, and he's out of the game. So come on, Seattle. Get the man some offensive linemen. I'm just saying. Take care. Hey, Twitter world, it's me, yours truly. Well, there's a lot on the news today. Started off watching the CDC suggestion on people who had their 2 shots, how they should live. And essentially, they're saying we still should wear our masks. I have no problem with that. I wear my mask anyway. Somebody texted me a video of some people in a Bath and Body Works store where these girls got into it, a big fight. Evidently, the store rules was that you had to wear a mask, and some customer didn't want to wear the mask, and boy, they got into it pretty good. What I don't understand is the same people who will say, we want people to get back to work, those are the people that don't want to wear the mask. Well, these people are trying to work. They're in their store. They're trying to follow the store rules. And if you don't like those store rules, it's simple. Don't shop there. Don't give them your business. For me, hey, I'm going to wear the mask until it's all gone, until we got herd immunity. Also, I'm seeing up in Minnesota, they're having some problems deciding what they're going to charge this Derek Chauvin with. So they delayed the jury selection for a day. You know, I was a part of some jury selections, and I see where the NAACP is pointing out we wanted to reflect the community. I here in Las Vegas had a trial. It was all white jury, and I'm pretty sure we got blacks who live here in Las Vegas. I'm just saying that's neither here nor there right now. Finally, why is everybody so quick to charge? Why don't we just take some time to investigate some of these cases? I see where Cuomo, everybody wants the president to do something about Cuomo. Well, he should have his day in court, or at least have some kind of hearing. I go along with what Socrates and Plato said, that opinions, much like allegations, are not fact. At the most, they could be a possibility, and even if they rise to probability, they're not facts. Hold your horses. He's going to get what he deserves, if he deserves anything. I'm just saying, get your shot. Take care. Hey, Twitter world, it's me, yours truly. Getting ready to hit the links and play a little golf, but, you know, I start my mornings like I always do, scrolling the various news stations and sports stations, and it's really something watching these news stations. I don't even know why they call them news. They must have not read the Walter Cronkite book about how you're supposed to report news. You're supposed to report it without attitude, without letting your viewers know or trying to influence them about what you think about what you're reporting. All these shows are opinion shows. One side of the aisle or the other side of the aisle. And if you want to get pissed off before you go to sleep, watch Fox News. If you don't want to drink a cup of coffee in the morning and get fired up, watch Fox, because it seemed to be, their purpose seemed to be trying to piss you off. Doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. Their snide remarks about whatever they're reporting tends to piss me off. And I think I'm right down the middle when it comes to politics. I see where they were able to, for the most part, put a jury together for the Chafin case up in Minnesota. Sort of surprised me, because I don't think anybody didn't see at some point what took place in the George Floyd situation. And I guess they asked him, do you think you could put that aside and render a verdict based on the evidence presented? I often wonder if that is something that they can really do. And this Bob Johnson, the senator from Wisconsin, I believe it is, what's his thing? It's one thing to form an opinion based on what you've read or what you heard, but this guy saw what happened at the Capitol. I wonder what his opinion is today after the FBI showed those videos this week of all of those cops being attacked by this group and this mob that he claimed was law-abiding citizens, good people who support police officers. I'm just saying, wear your mask, get the shot. Take care.